YouTube, welcome to the top 8 of the Meta Weekly, where we start this off with Crystron against Branded. There is so much Branded in today's event, and they are all doing incredibly well, clapping up everyone, making everyone's head spin. And we also have a top-tier Branded versus Branded duel within the top 8, which we'll likely watch right after Crystron against Branded. Are you ready? Hajime!
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
Start this off with a Gold Sark now. With Branded going first, setting up Mirror Jade and Banishment, can Crystron on turn 2 set up a face-up Crystron cluster? No. It's pretty much only if they go first, so that protection is not really relevant in this duel exactly. As we imperm, negate the Aluber, we have 2 fingers! But we can't stop an impermanence. We set double finger in pass. That is crazy. What the heck happened there? Well, why is this a dead hand? Sulfenir needs literally any Crystron card in existence to discard and then pop off. Well, we didn't have that. So instead, and what's great about this is, oh, this is a brick. Yeah, I bricked, bro. I have 4 disruptions still. Imperm, Droplet, Ash, and Nibiru. And we don't have to send any of them for the Droplet. We could send the Sulfenir, which is activatable while in Grave. Now, being activated on Grave, meaning the Call by the Grave can then finger it. Ooh, no play for Branded here. We got a basic duel, small back and forth, and now it's time to whip out the Millennium engine. Millennium and Crystron goes into the Zombie Vampire to mill 4 cards off of both players' decks. Now, we will, on the resolution of the mill, summon right away, dodging the finger, but likely Crystron will get to the point where there will be something good to finger. As we have Doom Dragon on summon, push back the Aluber, as we now go right into the Zombie Vampire. We were 250 damage off from lethal. Mill 4, reborn the Sulfador, which will now trigger to send 2 cards in the deck to the grave. We're now going to finger preemptively because the Smiger will banish as a cost, dodging the finger, so you have to preempt it. Finger the Fool, banish and negate. Now, Thisfern, we did not preemptively finger as we grab the Tristaros. We're going to normal summon Tristaros, come forth into the Crystron level 7 Synchro, add back a Banisher and Grave card to our hand. We're going to banish the Turtle, summon the Thisfern onto the field, 9100 damage. We're going to Serenir, block the attack here. Into defense as we use the Ash Blossom to negate the Mercurier attempting to search. I don't think so. Finger your Ash. Negate. Unfortunately, Thisfern is not big enough to take out the Serenir, and does Droplet reduce only attack? Well, if I read it, only the attack is halved, not their defense. Shoot. So this does successfully stop our lethal damage play, as we're now going to go into a Little Knight. Now, we chose, since we don't have lethal, why attack in a Serenir, deal some damage when the Serenir wants to be sent to the grave to trigger to send from the deck a Branded spell or trap, comboed up with the Retribution, discarded off of the Albaz. We then essentially hand them a Branded Fusion. We're going to banish it instead. Nicely done. Tristaros is going to be popping the Crystron Synchro, summon 2 bodies, then summon a 3rd body through the Crystron Synchro being destroyed. Cyber Dragon Nova into Cyber Dragon Infinity. Infinity's going to suck up the Golem, and last week we had a big card being played in a Branded deck from a player in the event, and that is a Mega Fleet. What the heck is this? So if we open up the Mega Fleet, we could see that it's going to use a Cyber Dragon monster and a monster in the extra monster zone. That is the Little Knight, and as you can see, Pesh in the event with Branded playing Mega Fleet to right away contact Fusion by sending them to the graveyard. Now, is he playing Mega Fleet? Well, let's just find out. TTK, do you have it? I'm gonna peek. I'm gonna. Wait, I don't see it. Wait, you're playing the new dude? How do you even summon this? Elba System Dogmatica Calamity, which could have instead been a Mega Fleet. No fleet in sight. Dark Ruler no more. Negate every single monster on the field. Albaz on summon, discard to fuse. We're going to imperm, negate the Albaz mate. Now with Retribution and Grave, it could add back a branded spell or trap. We don't have a branded spell or trap until now because the Albion Shrouded is in Grave to add back the branded fusion. Now, we can Droplet negate whatever branded fusion summon you end up summoning. Turn back. It's now time to fuse it up, using the deck to summon Albion Branded Dragon. Activate to banish from the hand, field, or grave. We're allowing it to go through, going into Lubellion Searing Dragon. That will be discarding the High Spirits, triggering the Tragedy to search the deck, as the Droplet now negates. Not today. We're just going to send the Wedju Temple and nothing else to simply negate the Lubellion. Now, it can declare an attack, but it's only at 1250. It can attack into nothing really. The Albion branded, I'm highlighting that we could still attack because we're at 2200 life. The duel could get stolen at any moment. To battle we go. Oh wait, we're under Darkle no more, so no damage anyway. Let's reborn our Bestial Lubellion to set up a branded Lost. What do we have here? We have Albion, which could, in main phase 3, the end phase, activates the branded in red. That's exactly what we're doing. Nibiru is not activatable in the end phase as we add back the Albaz to now fuse up a Lubellion to come forth and go into the Mirror Jade. Will the Mirror Jade non-target monster banish right here, right now, as the branded Lost searches our deck for a Cartesia? Yes, it will. As we send Titanclad to banish away the Tristaros while it's negated, trigger Titanclad to summon a Quem, Quem send from the deck to the grave a Golden Sword Soul. Nicely done. If you move a card from the extra deck, the Quem will be triggering to Reborn Albaz to fuse at your field as you grab a Smyger from the deck. Now, because you banish a card, the Golden Sword Soul is going to trigger to summon a spellcaster onto the field. The Little Knight says, ain't no way, I'm going to banish that Quem off the field. Get out of here as the Cartesia is summoned from the hand. Cartesia activating to fuse at Lubellion to go into the Grand Granole, waiting for the opponent to summon a monster through a monster effect. As the Grand Granole triggers to send from the deck or extra deck to the grave, as the Branded Lost activates to search the deck maybe for a Mercurial monster negate. There we go, mate. We have a negate as the Grand Granole sends a Serenir. Serenir send from the deck here a Branded Lost, which can grab back a banished Albaz monster. We're going to reborn the Sulfaneer by discarding a Crystron card to activate to summon from the deck, as we also trigger the Grand Granole to summon from our deck or extra deck. What are we summoning here? A Quiritis, which could reduce the opposing field to 0 attack within the main phase only. We have Tristaros waiting for the opponent to activate anything to then summon a monster from our deck, then perform a Synchro. We have Inclusion, search for with the Smyger, searching for a cluster which could pop multiple cards during the opponent's turn. We're going to Sulfador, pop Inclusion, Reborn, activate to send up 2 cards from the deck to the grave. We're going to skip that effect actually, as we're probably out of cards to send. As we go into the Crystron Synchro to add back the banished Tristaros with a normal summon available, we normal summon it. We're going to activate Tristaros to, this is a big effect. You really want to focus on this. This effect is going to plus 2 bodies onto the field. You're going to destroy the Crystron Synchro, which will then summon a 3rd body in the field, but it's still a plus 2 because you go from 1 body to 3 bodies. And you, by stopping this with Mercurial, stopping this with Ash, stopping this with any effect to get rid of a Synchro on the field, because it has to destroy a Synchro to get those 2 bodies from the deck. So a perfect Mercurial negate. Chain Tristaros to the negate to summon a body from the deck, then perform a Synchro summon with, if we want to. There we go, Samurai Destroyer. But we could still just reduce you all to 0 attack. At the end of the main phase, reduce to 0, reborn back the Quem, and Little Knight's not technically a reborn or a special summon. We have the Albur on normal summon. What do we even have here? We have Nibiru. We could pop up to 2 cards with Cluster. We could banish with the Little Knight. We have triple Disruption. Little Knight, chain banish the Quem. We're going to non-target monster banish with the Mirror Jade. And by banishing the Little Knight must banish both cards. So the Quem stays on the field, does not get banished. Still have Nibiru and Cluster. We're going to, this is not just a hand trap, it's also a field trap. It's activatable from the field or hand to negate a monster effect. Now the Nibiru will get negated, unless the Cluster destroys the Mercurial. Summon an Albion branded, trigger the Lost, search our deck, and within the window of not being able to respond to the fusion summon, we're going to use the Forbidden Droplet to negate, and probably mostly just to reduce their attack, yes? Even though the Quiritis could reduce them. We weren't really negating anything relevant here. We're 2 disruptions still at 2. Star Source Dragon. This is very important to see that this is summoned on Chain Link 1. Thus, you cannot chain the cluster. You can't chain anything to the Star Source popping 2. Goodbye cluster, goodbye destroyer. Destroyer will still reborn a monster from engrave. We just have Nibiru. How did you only perform 4 summons? Under the Nibiru. 9,800 damage in the field. Let's go. Wipe him out. Goodbye. Triggering because it was synchro summon to reborn a monster in grave. Stopping lethal damage. Now, why didn't the Mercurier negate? Because Mercurier, unlike the Neo Ultimate Blue Eyes, only negates the effect, not the activation, thus is not activatable in the damage step. Why didn't the first one activate when destroyed? Well, it has to be synchro summoned when destroyed. So it was synchro summoned, only that one was an effect to reborn. We're going to use the Branded Sword, add back a banished card here, come to us Albaz. As we now use the Retribution to add back the Branded in red. We're still in main phase 2. We're gonna use it right here, right now. And because we're not doing this in the end phase, we're playing into a Nibiru, but the Mercurier can negate. Come forth, Furious Dragon Mate. Nibiru is now activatable. Let's pop the Crystron. We did not even bother using it, even though it would have eaten up the Mercurier negate. Right? Don't you just still do it? Okay. Ice Spirit, add back. I think we're pretty much just surrendering, right? Off the top of the deck, we have a Smiger. Sulfonier, discard that Smiger to reborn, pop itself, and summon a Crystron from the deck. With only 14 cards left in the deck, what is even left? We have a Citri being summoned, Smiger banished, and search our deck for nothing. No inclusion for you. We still have another inclusion in the deck, right? We surely do, otherwise it would not have been activatable. We have the inclusion in graveyard, banishing to reborn a monster in grave. We have 2 more inclusions in the deck. Come forth and summon our Crystron Synchro. We're going to reborn the Albaz through the effect of the Rimbrum to discard a card to fuse the opposing player's field. We're going to use Bore Load to get the Mirror Jade off the field because of the downside of only being able to control 1 Mirror Jade, and we want the Albaz to go into a Mirror Jade. I said this on previous weeks, branded players are always thinking, how do I get rid of my own Mirror Jade to summon another Mirror Jade to then activate the non-target monster banish again? Quem is now going to be triggering to reborn back on the field the Albaz as we search our deck for an Albion Shrouded, Foolish Burial, send Max C. That's a really good play to do that as the Cartesia adds back within the end phase. 10,000 damage, perfect on the field. Lethal damage as we now go into game 2. Holy moly. Senjin into the back row. We have no hand trap whatsoever, so let's speed this up. Searching for the Golem. Golem special summon from the back row. We got the Wedge Temple. We're going to put from our back row a Senjin to put another Senjin as we now go into the Photon Lord. We don't play this for Photon Lord. We play this for the Zombie Vampire. But you don't go into Zombie Vampire if you have a full combo play. A full combo play being the inclusion or a way to get Smiger in graveyard. So right away, before we even start our Crystron plays, having a banishment play with Little Knight, anti-hand trap with the Photon Lord. Little Knight could also help potentially against a Nibiru play in a way. Heavy Storm off the top of the deck. What the heck is that? We have negate anything, banish anything. We have the ability to negate a monster effect, pop a card or 2 on the field. We have Ash Blossom, negate. We have Tristaros Synchro during the opponent's turn, which could go into a spell and trap card negate, or it could banish 3 monsters on the field and or grave. So that's about 6 forms of disrupt. We're gonna draw a card by sending Retribution. Heavy Storm, wipe up the back row. Tristaros is going in. We're also going to flip up the effect of the cluster to pop our Sulfonier. Okay. Pop and Sulfonier could summon a Citri from the deck, which is a quite interesting play here. We have Dragster being summoned. Goodbye to the cluster. We're now down to 5 disruption. As the Citri cannot go into the Quarion, unfortunately. It could go into, you're not even playing the level 5 that puts a monster in defense. Dark Ruler no more. What did we lose? We lost Negate, 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 and Banish. We just have Ash Blossom. Heavy Storm into a Dark Ruler? You gotta be kidding me. And now we're gonna add a card that could get ashed. Ash Blossom, Negate, the grass looking greener, not today. That's it. 0 disruption left. I surrender. No, he scooped to an Ash after a Heavy Storm and Dark Ruler no more. Ain't no way. Heavy Storm in the opening hand here. Crash. There was nothing to crash into. There was a 2100. Everything else that was big enough was in defense. Aluber negated by the impermanence. Now, the Golden Sword Soul has the great ability of when a card is banished to summon Cartesia onto the field, which could then fuse with the Mirror Jade, which could then trigger the Quem to reborn the Mirror Jade, so the Mirror Jade could banish twice. And we are also able to possibly go into a form of disruption off of that fusion. We could then Quem reborn the Albaz, then fuse with their field, then go into a form of disruption into have a Mercurier. We could also have a disruption through the effect of the branded in red. Maybe about 7 disruptions here. Remember, branded is always super conditional on its disruptions. It's always changing. But you do want to try to identify to the best of your ability, knowing that all of this is public knowledge. Nothing is hidden. We know the face down, we know the card in the hand, we know everything that's engraved. So you as the opposing player should have this in mind. We're going to inclusion grab a cluster. We're going to, in response to this turn, add the Albaz to perform one of the 7 forms of disruption going into the Libellion Searing. Libellion Searing on summon, we're going to discard the Cartesia, trigger the branded Lost, as the Golden Sword Soul is also going to be triggering off a card being banished to summon a spellcaster from the hand or grave. Come forth, Cartesia. Search our deck for the Mercurier, as Libellion here goes into the Borlord Furious. Sure, Cartesia is going to activate alongside the Mirror Jade. Now, understand that the Chainlink one was Libellion fusing into the Borlode, so we are in a window where they can't activate Tristaros. The core play of Tristaros is chain to your opponent. I can't chain because the branded lost, and we made sure in response to our summon to activate these plays to now get rid of the Tristaros where it can't chain. It's a very small detail, but very important. So we're now down to 6 disruption. Where are my fingers going? As the Grand Granola is here. Trigger the Quem, reborn the Mirror Jade. Exactly what I said would be happening. The Borlode has not activated yet, so we're at 6 disrupts. We kind of lost the Albaz play, though. So the Albaz fuse play, so from 6 down to at least 4 disruptions. Mercurier is going to negate. So what we have here is the Mirror Jade banish, Borlode pop. We're going to Borlode pop right now, get popping, and I think we're actually just down to a Mirror Jade non-target monster banish as our final play. A lot of our disruptions were dependent on potentially reborning the Albaz, which could have been done by sending a Rinbrum. Branded High Spirits, add back to our hand during the end phase. Cartesia, also add back. And what's going to be very important here is the cluster. And when we activate it, we're going to non-target monster banish the Sulfaneer. The cluster obviously not able to protect here. Well, now that the Mirror Jade already activated and the Borlode can pop the cluster's just not going to be so good. The effect of Crystron cards could not be banished by your opponent's card effects is going to be wiped away by the Borlode. We could just literally wait for its activation to then Borlode pop it. Branded in white, fuse with the hand, field, or grave into a Star Source. Can't respond to this. Can't flip cluster even if it were a good time to flip it, even though the Borlode could just stop it. Branded Lost cooks so hard. This is probably the best card in the deck, I'd say. And just like that, lethal damage. He turned off Tristaros, couldn't respond to the poppage. 2-1 victory. Can't respond. 40 card branded. We got that Max C. And this version of the deck has the highest chance to open up with a Max C, being a 40 card deck, because the Crossout Designate negates the Max C. Negate a spell and trap, negate a spell and trap, non-target pop a card by equipping the Roland whenever you want. We are going to also be able to negate a spell with the Angelic Ring. We're going to be able to negate a monster effect with the Phoenix Gearfried. We're going to pop a card on special summon with the Promethean Princess. And we have a Nibiru. 7 disruption. Oh boy. Negate the spell and trap. Sure. Now, if we wanted to super poly, how do we super poly them up? We have Garura. This is 2 monsters with the same type of different names, so 2 Charles is not going to work. It's got to be Charles and something else. But we actually cannot super poly this field. Why? The Angelic Ring negates super poly. So we need Angelic Ring to negate the High Spirit or the Call by the Grave. The High Spirit is not activatable. If we Call by the Grave something random, it's going to be a bit fishy, don't you think? Do you think FM will negate it? If FM does not negate the Called by and the Angelic Ring instead negates it, then we could super poly. We'll see what happens. Alubur on summon, search the deck, Gearfried, negate. And Yusuf's just like, bro, I just need a spell. I don't care about the Gearfried. I want to negate the Angelic Ring. Call by the Grave, nothing, as I said. Gotcha. Now you can't negate the super poly, mate. You fell for my trap. But then I still lose, right? What am I going to do? Draw a card. Draw on a Branded Fusion. Yeah, right? Ooh, branded in red. Add the Alubur, then pass. Okay, it almost worked. Damn. All right. Branded Fusion into Ash Blossom Negate into Call by the Grave. Finger you, mate. Not today. Finger the Ash. So we have non-target monster banish with the Mirror Jade. We could then droplet send Mirror Jade to negate a monster. We could then, if a monster goes from the action deck, we could Quem Reborn the Mirror Jade to then non-target monster banish again. And then we could Mirror Jade, send a Rinbrum Reborn Albaz to fuse with the monster on their field. The monster we fuse into is going to be a form of disruption. The Branded Lost could search for a Mercurier. Or the sword could just, when discarded by Albaz, add the Mercurier. It's about 6 disruption with this. 6 disruption through an Imperm. The Ash got fingered, so we don't count that. Red Layer, and the Ogier send from the deck the Gearfried here. Renaud on someone's going to add the Gearfried back to the hand. And we're going to non-target monster banish right now. Rinbrum, as I was saying, set up that Albaz play. Search for a Museum with the Chalice. Museum is going to be searching our deck for the Durendal. Durendal in an open game state must be activated, so we may in some way disrupt the Durendal by getting rid of the monster it's equipped onto. No, we're not. As we search for the Oliver, no normal summon allowed. As we now go into the Isold. Isold's trigger effect is searching, but in the open game state, it has its main effect. So before it activates, we're going to reborn the Albaz to fuse with the Isold. As we discard the sword, so that's 1 disruption down. As we're now down to 4, we're going to add the Mercurier here. The Albaz and Isold could go into an Albion, which I think he's been liking the Boral Sword, right? Boral Sword is what you're going to be going into off of the Albion. The Furious, that is. Borload. Branded Lost, search our deck. As we're getting ready to disrupt with whatever the Albion is summoned into. Banish in the Grave into the Borload Furious. Yup, there it is. Oliver is going to summon. Gearfried's going to banish to summon. Mercurier is going to negate. We have the effect of Droplet, Borload, and Mirror Jade again when the Quem reborns it. Get poppin'. Nicely done. With 2 other disruption left, we have Branded Fusion being added. The second copy, that is, come to me. Allure of Darkness off the top of the deck. I have been recently testing out Allure over Fusion deployment, and I've been enjoying it. 1 in 1. Let's go to game 3. Yeah, Allure seems to be the way. Just the fact that Allure could draw into a called by, and then you have a Branded Fusion even. Wanted, Seeker, come to us, Diablo Star. As we discard away the Fua loss, when are we whipping out the Maxi? Now, why do we want Ogier onto the Baron to floor? It could not be destroyed by card effects if we were to have a Raigeki, I guess. And we have the Spell and Trap card negate of the Charles. We also have non-target pop a card in the field whenever we want through the Roland, but not in a direct chain. We have to, on a separate chain in response to something, then get pop in. We also have the Angelic Ring, negate Super Poly. We have Baron to floor, negate anything. We have Promethean Princess, pop a card on special summon. 5 forms of disruption. Negate the High Spirit Mates. You saw the hand. We have to negate this. We cannot let them Super Poly our field. Negate the Branded Opening Mate. Super Poly negated by Angelic Ring. Negate the Spell Speed 4. Negate, 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 negate. FM Production has negated his way to the top 4. Nicely done. Wow. Negated his whole hand. Doom Dragon, pushing your own Sentient. That FM, what the heck was that, mate? BM for game. Branded versus Branded. Super Poly is going to be a big card for the mirror match. Begin. Start off with an Albion, get an Albaz engraved. This draws a card plus turns on the Cartesia. You want to turn her on because then she could summon herself from the hand. On summon, we're going to be fusing with the hand field or grave by banishing to summon our Mirror Jade. Now, in a situation with Super Poly, you have to always be thinking about this, and that is on the summon of my Mirror Jade, do I take my player priority to non-target monster banish before they activate a Super Poly where I cannot chain to it? We're going to use the Quem. Grand Granule is also going to be triggering. So we're not doing that. We're also not going to Super Poly right away. We're going to wait. Albaz is going to discard on summon. We're going to trigger the effect of Quem, and we're going to Super Poly it up. Fuse up with the field. Fuse away the Mirror Jade and the Albaz for our own copy of a Mirror Jade. And we missed out on the non-target monster banish. Now, the Mirror Jade will trigger to non-target destroy the field during the end phase. We do not have a Branded Opening in grave. We're going to send a Titanclad to the grave. We're going to Serenir, banish away the Titanclad, and then we are going to Super Poly. You Super Poly me, no, I Super Poly you. We're going to fuse my Albion and your Quem to come forth and make a Coritis. Goodbye to the Quem. Mirror Jade's going to non-target wipe during the end phase. Serenir sent from the deck a branded opening. I think this is going to be a big card for the mirror match as both players are trying to wipe each other out continually within the end phase. We're going to, with the Alibird, negate the Coritis. Doesn't do anything. Serenir banishing the Albion here. So, did this not activate yet? So, what the heck happened here? We end phase applied the effect. This, I think, was a mistake because otherwise the Serenir Bestial has to banish at the end of the main phase. That is your last opportunity to stop the Albion from activating. Now, in the end phase, the turn player has player priority to trigger their effects. So if we trigger the Albion Engrave before applying the Mirror Jade, then they could not stop it with the Bestial. So because they did not banish at the end of the main phase and you applied the Mirror Jade first, they now had that opportunity in response to their Alibird triggering or on the resolution of the effect to then banish Albion before it activates. So we did miss out on that. All right. Yeah, we literally in our end, it said, would you like to Mirror Jade or Albion? We did Mirror Jade first, which then gave them the ability to Bestial. Now, to be fair, it's reasonable to assume that why am I going to play around a Bestial when they could Bestial at the end of my main phase? So they obviously don't have it, right? Well, they ended up having it. They didn't do it at the end of the main phase, and we got messed up there to the point where we scooped. So I would reasonably expect him to say, I mean, he didn't end phase Bestial, so why? I didn't think he'd have a Bestial. Come forth, Alibird, normal summons, search our deck for our branded opening. The protection of branded opening against an opposing Mirror Jade is going to be quite important in this matchup, I believe. What is generally very important in a branded game is to have Albaz Engrave, and you may be thinking incorrectly that branded fusion gets Albaz Engrave. It doesn't, because that Albaz is going to get banished or returned back to the deck. We need another way. This Albaz was not sent from the branded fusion. It was sent for with the Quem, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. And by having the Albaz in graveyard with the face-up Mirror Jade that has not activated, it turns the Mirror Jade into a triple disruption. It's a non-target banish, plus a Rinbrum Reborn Albaz to fuse with their field, plus whatever you fuse into being a form of disruption. Very, very important. And also it's usable with your Branded in Red. Now, Branded in Red will banish the Albaz, so ideally you're reborning Albaz fusing, it goes back to the grave, then you grab the Albaz to fuse with the Branded in Red, which is another form of disruption. We also have the Quem, which could maybe reborn the Mirror Jade if we can get it into the graveyard, not through the banishment or the Branded in Red, which would banish it. So that would be another non-target monster banish. We also have a Mercurial Search, we have the banishment fuse with the opposing field, and then whatever we fuse into being a form of disruption, and we have an Ash Blossom. This is about 9 disruptions. Good luck. Alibir. From the deck through the branded opening. Come to us, Branded Fusion, which we have called to the grave for the Ash. Branded Fuse it up. Ash, negate, we're down to 8 disruption. Call to the grave. Finger that Ash. Negate. Now, what I think is a really good card for the mirror match is going to be a card that is, bro, you don't play it in your extra deck. How do you not play Sanctifier? That is crazy. Pesh, what about you? Sanctifier. Sanctifier cannot be used as fusion material, so it's protected from Super Poly, protected from Albaz, protected from banishment, and also it protects your Ash from getting fingered, mate. You want to Ash their Branded Fusion? You make a Sanctifier to dodge their finger by pulling your Ash out from that finger. Banish, the Ash. Send for the deck, Tragedy and Albaz. Lubellion. Lubellion on summon is going to discard to fuse. Tragedy also triggering. This could be a chain link block against Mercurial in our mindset here. Grab a Quem. As we now fuse this up into Mirror Jade. Now, even though there's no Super Poly on the field, we could think that there's a Super Poly, which would be the Brandon Red, which was not public knowledge, if I'm remembering correctly. So we may want to shotgun as soon as we can, right here, right now, non-target monster banish, if we're afraid. Our chain to the Grand Granule. So there you go. This is playing around a Super Poly by activating the Mirror Jade right now. We're going to activate our own Mirror Jade to non-target monster banish. Send the Rinbrum. Goodbye, Mirror Jade. As goodbye, Quem. So the effect of reborning Mirror Jade is now down. We're back to 5 forms of disruption. Perskenian. We have Quem sent from the deck to Grave and Albaz. Perskenian's going to banish the Titan Clad at the end of the main phase. With your Bystials, with your banishes, you have to banish before the end phase to ensure they do not trigger. You toggle on, it tells you they're about to end their main phase, then you Bystial banish, then you Perskenian banish. Banishment is going to be targeting the Albion. Rinbrum is going to be reborning the Albaz. Come forth and summon, getting ready to fuse to the opposing side of the field. As the banishment reborns the Albion, then fuses with either side. We're going to fuse with our own Albaz, and you cannot respond to this. We're going to pop 2 cards on the field as we also search for potentially a Mercurier. Yeah, I'm out of here, mate. What the heck was that? Aluber, come to me. Search for a Branded in High Spirits. High Spirit is going to be another way to get to your Branded Fusion. As we grab an Albion, we're going to draw a card, get Titan Clad Engrave. We're going to send from the deck a Retribution or Branded Fusion, then send the Retribution since we already had Branded Fusion, draw that card, add back the Branded Fusion. So instead of directly just searching Branded Fusion, we accomplished drawing a card. Let's see what the drawn card is. Maybe it's a really good one. Woo, we have an extra kit. And we have Titan Clad. The best thing about Titan Clad is getting a Quem onto the field for your first turn play. Summon the Quem. Quem sent for the deck. We're not. This is main phase 3. All right, we gotta wait. Cartesia, add back. Sure. There we go. Now. Ooh, we're gonna pop off with a brand opening right away. Do we have our own brand opening for an end phase wipe? We do not. We have a non-target monster banish with the Mirror Jade. We can negate with the Mercurier. We can reborn from Engrave, fuse with their field. That's a disruption. The fusion itself is a disruption. The Brandon Red is going to grab back from Engrave and then perform a disruption. We could reborn Albaz to fuse with their field into a form of disruption. We could maybe Quem, reborn Mirror Jade after we banish and get it into the grave to then banish again. It's 7 to 8 disruption, most likely going to be around 6. Let's discard High Spirits, summon the Aluber. Let's get the dual log up here. Mercurier, negate. Sure. Okay. Now, we can't make Verte now with the branded opening activated. We're locked in Fusion monsters only. We're going to reveal the Albaz sent to the grave, Titan Cloud, which could summon an Albaz during the end phase to fuse the opposing field. We're going to go with the Albion, send Retribution to draw a card, randomly drawing into an Ash. Way too late on that Ash, mate. Fuse with the field engrave into a Lubellion. Lubellion on summon, discard that dead Ash, fusing into a Mirror Jade. If we're fearing Super Poly, we could activate Mirror Jade as soon as we can. We're not. Reborn the Albaz. As the Albaz, so we're not reborning the Mirror Jade now. We're going to discard to attempt to fuse as the Mercurier now negates. So we lose the Albaz fusion disruption also. Okay. To battle we go. Takes out Quiritis. Quiritis is going to be triggering the Aluber when destroyed to reborn and negate the Mirror Jade that it has not activated yet, but it can still activate, it just does not banish. Mirror Jade non-target monster banish for Lenatus, which could search for our second copy of Branded Fusion during the end phase. Oh boy. Now, we are not negated on the field wipe. The field wipe will get wiping. We're going to grab a Brandon White. It is now the end phase. Titan Clad, summon for the deck. Albaz on summon, discard. We are going to come forth and go into an Albion. Now, we could have stopped that Albaz fuse, but we had too many bodies on the field. We could have chained Banishment, Reborn, then fused with the Albaz, trying to fuse with us, that we get the fusion and they don't. So did we get completely messed up by not ensuring that the Mirror Jade is in the extra monster zone? That small detail of not being able to use Banishment. Uh-oh. Star Source going for the back row banishment, and branded in red, we're going to reborn the Quem, chain the branded in red to add Quiritis back to the extra deck. We don't have to fuse with the Quem, could fuse with the other bodies. We're gonna go into a Dragostapelia here. Now making use of the extra monster zone. Quem on summon's gonna send from the deck. Lost is going to search our deck. We have another monster negates. Now remember, this field's about to get wiped unless the Quem sends a branded opening. If we send a branded opening, our field doesn't get wiped. And that would mean that we also were too late to apply the field wipe. We gave them the opportunity to send an opening to now protect from the wipe. It's coming. You could even see it here in the lingering effect window. So you could visibly, even if you forgot, it's there. It's about to happen. That's not opening. That's a Clasia? Whoa, oh, Jesus! Whole field got wiped. Can't? You can't sand branded opening with a Quem, can you not? This on summon, send a card that mentions it. It does not say branded spell or trap. I think you are correct. Because the opening, it's just like, some cards say branded, some cards say cards that mention branded. So because the freaking card does not mention Albaz, it actually could not have even been sent to protect from being destroyed. Yeah, it does not mention Albaz. That is correct. Thank you. The Serenir mentions branded, so Serenir would be something that you could use to send the opening to the graveyard. Full field wipe, Ecclesia. Do I get to make use out of my Altar Ecclesia now? I can't wait. Show me the way. We're going to branded fusion. We cannot respond to these plays because of branded lost. Trigger the lost. Make sure your fusion summon effects are on chain link 1. So this is one window of a chain where we cannot respond. And now we're going to a second window where we can't respond. Now we could respond. We're gonna Cartesia, special summon, branded banishment, reborn the Alubur, which we don't have to fuse with Alubur. We could just fuse 3 bodies with the Priskenian and trigger the Alubur to search a card during, or to use during the next turn. What the? Holy Priskenian, a Despia, a light, and a dark monster, triple fusion with the banishment. We're gonna chain Super Poly. You fused my field, I fuse your field, but the Alubur effect is still searching for possibly a branded fusion to be used next turn. Yes, it is. That branded fusion is ready and waiting. Tragedy's gonna reset our own banishment. This is why I said summoning a Sanctifier is good. Sanctifier can't be fused with, and it just protects your cards in the graveyard in many cases. We're going to grab back the High Spirit, Mirror Jade with no field wipe. Our Courier can't be freaking used, and Banishment can only target a Despia or level 8 or higher fusion, meaning we can't use Albaz to fuse. So what you'd be looking for ideally with the Banishment is, do I have a properly summoned Mirror Jade in grave? Yes. I could reborn Mirror Jade, then fuse the Quiritis and something else, potentially, or just fuse their field. So we do have that. Now, ideally, our banishment is used on chain link 1, not chaining to something, because then we don't get the protection of branded lost. So can we force them to use banishment on chain link 2 or higher? Mirror Jade. If we chain link 1's the banishment on the summon of the Mirror Jade, we would have been able to banish the Mirror Jade with our own Mirror Jade before they could even respond. Use the graveyard into Albion Branded Dragon. Branded Dragon on summon is going to be fusing the graveyard to come forth and summon into our own Quiritis. Trigger the effect of Mercuria to search our deck for an Albaz monster. We have not committed to a normal summon yet. Now, on chain link 1, reborn the Mirror Jade. You cannot respond to the resolution of this. Bro, what just happened? We couldn't fuse? There was no... Isn't this like a Star Source? You can't Star Source? Where's your Star Source? What about like a Garura can be used, right? Like a Mood Dragon. You can't have a Mood Dragon. You can't do Garura or Mood Dragon. That's cheating. But no Star Source? None of these were legal fusions. Because we couldn't legally fuse, we couldn't get them in the window where they couldn't respond, where we could use Mirror Jade and they could not chain Mirror Jade to our Mirror Jade. So by not being able to fuse, did we already Star Source or we're not playing it? I don't think we play it. What the heck? You can't move Dragon with Banishment. TCG maybe, but level 8 or higher fusion only. Come forth and send from the deck an Albaz. I don't think we play Star Source. I'm looking. I don't see Star Source in the deck, in the extra deck, or the graveyard. I think you're getting mixed up with the other player here. Aluber Reborn. Get Negated, Quiritis, into Quiritis. Aluber not big enough against the Quem at 0 defense. Branded in red in main phase 2. We're gonna fuse this up into an Alba Lenatus, which has no relevant effect on the field. We're gonna trigger the Quem, which is negated, to attempt to reborn that Mirror Jade. We're going to Mirror Jade wipe the opposing field, but there's nothing to wipe. Ecclesia is continually recycling herself back to the hand. Now, what can Ecclesia do to help us win the duel? I see the win, right? Oh, what the heck, we drew an Albaz. Well, the Ecclesia could have summoned an Albaz and then fused with their field into a Mirror Jade. But are we out of Mirror Jades? We have a banished Mirror Jade. We have a Mirror Jade in graveyard. We generally would only play 2 Mirror Jades. So let's look at the extra deck here. If we summon Albaz and we try to fuse with their Alba Lenatus, we could go into a Lubellion. We can go into an Albion if we fuse with the Quem. Yeah, I guess that's going to be the play, huh? Do we have an Albaz in the deck to summon off Ecclesia? Looks like we do. Summon from the deck. Fallen of Albaz. There we go. We did not commit to our normal summon. Discard High Spirit, fuse the Quem into an Albion branded dragon. We're going to be banishing with our hand, field, or grave, as the Lost will also be searching our deck. Is this the end for Pesh? As we grab a Cartesia, special summonable as long as we have an Albaz on the field or grave. Banishing to summon a Moo Dragon. What? Not Lubellion? Okay. To battle phase, get the Albion engraved triggered during the end phase. It's not enough for lethal. No way, right? 1900 to the face. End phase, trigger the Brand High Spirits to add back. And then we're going to have all of our own effects also trigger. The Lenatus searching for the second freaking copy of the Branded Fusion. The other one engraved. Did we just time out? We timed out. No! I think you were gonna win. I don't know, man. You were running out of cards. You missed out on Lubellion return back Mirror Jade, probably due to time. That is something. That is something. Something. Okay, wow. Pesh won the duel. What turn was this? Does it say the turn in the duel log? I guess we have to scroll to the start of the freaking turn. That was only 5 turns? What the heck? We have Imperm. We're going to speed up until when the Imperm is usable. Two monster negates with the Apollo, 2 special summon negates with the Wave King Caesar, non-target negate a card on the field. We could link off with the Mask Arena to disrupt again. You know, it's just the ceiling. Mask Arena is going to be a double banish with Little Knight. We have Promethean Princess, which will pop on special summon. We also have a Call by the Grave Finger. So if you count the Call by the Grave and the Desiree second effect when sent to the grave, that is 10 disruptions. There's no Fiendsmith in Paradise play. I don't think they'd be playing it anyway. Let's go. Summon that Mask Arena. If we lose the Desiree link off play, I'll take off that disruption. We have Beryl getting negated by the Apollo USA. Not today, we're now down to 9. Surely we could play through this, right? All right, we lost the Desiree disruption play as we go into Little Knight double banish. Little Knight on summon will trigger to banish. We're now down to 7 more disruptions. Call by the Grave, Finger the Flameburst Dragon. Well, how do we summon Promethean now? We have no fire, so we lose Promethean. We're now down to 6 forms of disruption. Only 6. And scooped. All right, well, it's pretty good. Barrel will set, not ashable, setting straight for the drill beam as the load searches for a barrel. Already load is now going to attempt to summon for the deck. We're going to Ash negate. How did we know they had no way to bridge into their Blue Eyes plays? Well done, as we now link this off into a Spirit with Eyes of Blue. Adding the Mausoleum, ready for the additional summon. Nothing to additionally summon. We're going to summon the Blue Eyes White Dragon, turn on the Drill Beam, set and pass. Our disruptions are Drill Beam negate and banish, Purge negate a search, and we have Max C, which is not a disruption, so just 2 plus Max C. Senjin into the back row. Purge, negate the search and summon. Not today. Negate. We have 1 drill beam left. Do we drill beam the Lacrima? Now, if this were an impermanence, it'd be such a bad imperm, you may as well just surrender after doing it because they have not used the Requiem yet. But because this gets rid of the monster, the reason to negate Lacrima Crimson Tear now changes, and it now is a pretty good negate. Banish it off. So you have to know the full context of when and what and why to negate. Maxi chain to the original Sinful. We're out of disruption, not a 0. Cross out designate, negate the Maxi mate, as Lucas is now going to be rushing his way into a lethal damage, yes? Let's flame it on. Lucas, let's go. You have to win this turn or your duel is invalid. Grab Divine Temple, link this off into a Nightmare Phoenix on someone, discard a card, pop a back row card. Say goodbye to the True Light, which could have at least reborn the Blue Eyes to further protect us from a lethal play. Divine Temple, set up the Snake Eye Diabastar. We're going to set another card from our back row into the back row, push back the Blue Eyes White Dragon, and just like that, with over 11,000 damage, it is over for Blue Eyes. Lethal with the Poplar. Top 4. Ooh, Snake Eye Fiendsmith is going first. And the main way to keep them in check is a Maxier Fool loss. We're playing 45 card branded here. We are lucky enough to at least open up an Ash, but is that enough? Obviously not against a Finger, as they finger our Ash now. What's great about getting your Ash fingered is they're also fingering their own Ash, and that's the main card that counters our branded fusion play with Aluber. So potentially this getting negated is going to be a big upside for us on the very next turn. Let's find out. But what if Lucas decides to not use his finger? That is going to make things a bit tricky here. We're going to grab a Lurie into the Requiem. We may be ashing the effect of the Requiem to summon from the deck. Ash, negate. Do we finger the Ash? We do not. He is not willing to finger himself. Now, the Called By Ash as 2 forms of disruption. We also have Masquerena with the double banish play, triple monster negate with the Apollo USA, and then we have the Promethean Princess and Grave giving us 8 forms of disruption. Let's go. What now? Albion's gonna go for a draw, send an Albash in the deck here. Drawing into a second copy of High Spirits, so we bricked. Send Albaz to send Titan-Clad to search for a Mercurier. Branded in red, target the Albaz as the Call by the Grave fingers the freaking Albaz as we scoop. Oh my Jesus. Played through the Ash. Did not negate the Ash. Had a Called By, held on to it, and very well done for Snake Eye Fiendsmith. All right. Oh, they have Ash. Well, we could make a play around Ash if we don't just gung-ho go straight for a Branded Fusion play, which we did not banish Tragedy, search Aluber, normal Aluber, search for Branded Fusion, then get hit by Ash. We are thinking about the Ash. Always have the Ash on your mind. Normal the Cartesia, fuse the Serenir, holding on to the impermanence here. Grand Granule is going to trigger to send a card from the deck or extra to the grave. We're going to imperm, negate that Grand Granule. Not today. as the Serenir sends a branded spell or trap card here. We're going to send the Retribution, which the Shrouded can now send the branded Fusion. But that then plays into Ash. We draw into a card, it's not a called by. Lubellion is going to at least be searching for a Magna Hut here. Magna Hut's going to banish. There's Cope. There's Cope. The Cope is we could go into Anaconda right now and the Ash does nothing. You hear me? We are not fusion locked. The fusion locks are opening, branded fusion, and a fusion deployment. We have done none of them. Now, do we play Anaconda? Anaconda. Oh, no Anaconda. If we went into Anaconda, that would be 3 disruption through the Ash. The Ash can't be used on the Mirror Jade. Summon, the Mirror Jade would non-target banish. Reborn Albaz with the Rinbrum, fuse to their field into another form of disruption, all through Ash. But now we're just gonna play into the Ash. We would also had a branded Lost. So we would have we had Merc Courier, Mirror Jade, Albaz Fuse, and the disruption with that if we just go into the Anaconda. Negate. Now Anaconda would be illegal to summon. We don't even play Anaconda. And let's see what we can do from here. Who was the player that was prioritizing Anaconda today? I think it was TTK. Yeah, TTK is an Anaconda abuser, and that's good. We have Ash, and we have Ash. I think that's, we have Ash. We kind of have Grand Granol. Grand Granol could summon Quem, send Albaz, Reborn Albaz, Fuse to their field, and which could go into, you know, the Fuse, the Mirror Jade, and it can also, with the Mercurier, we have potentially 3 disruption on top of the Ash we just used. And this is it. Max C, we already used Ash. We're going to Serenir banish the Engraver here. Bro, Quem draw, Albaz draw, Mirror Jade draw. They're about to draw 3 more cards. So we're going to, instead of going to Quem, just go into the Perskenian. No Quem. Perskenian is going to banish the Requiem. Tried to equip onto the Engraver here. Banish out of the grave. Follow up Diabastar, and this is where Pesh just is just like, wow, man, really? All that, Millennium, Fiendsmith, and you're gonna hit me with a Diabastar because Konami can't limit this card to 1? Are you shiting me? Well, there you go, Lucas. You want some flames? Get flaming, let's go. Flame it. If I flame on, you have to win this turn, or it's not valid. Invalid duel, you don't want that to happen. I got you. I'm gonna Doom, I'm gonna Flame Burst, I'm gonna push all their monsters to the back row, they got nothing. Push it. Double push to the back row. Sequences here, come forth and Fuse to the grave. Let's go. Lacrima for an additional 1200 burn. We just have to deal 6800 damage now. Engraver. To battle we go, 14,000 damage. Triple push! Push all their monsters to the back row. Lethal damage. Grand Finale Lucas, which may be playing against Branded again in the top 2. Let's find out. Begin. YOLO Allure, randomly drawing into a Mercurier to banish to search for an Albaz monster. Okay. Droll and Lockbird in response to the activation to add, thus we add nothing. We could thrust, set a trap from our deck here, which will be a, not a trap, a Branded Fusion. Yep, well, we didn't have a way to get Branded Fusion engraved through duplication, copying it. We just have Droplet and Serenir. This is a problem here as the Neospace connector goes right into an Isold. We're gonna look at the hand, nice Serenir you got there, as we now make an Isold. If we Droplet negate Isold, we give them the opportunity to make a second Isold. Instead, we wait for the hard activated once per turn effect of being able to summon a monster from the deck, negate. They still send all the equipped cards in the deck to the grave by cost. They're gonna grab back the Gear Blade to the hand. And can FM Production play right on through this? Only if you control no monsters can the red layer even be special summoned. It can't even be used because we added it with the Isold. We have the Grief Tablet searching for a Wedge, you freaking temple, mate. You gotta be kidding me. What the heck is this? Senju, summon from the back row, search for the Golem, Original Sinful, send the Grief Tablet, summon from the deck, Ricardetto, as we link this up, synchro I should say, into an Emperor freaking Charles. Now, with the Emperor Charles being a level 9 synchro, we're gonna pop the Harpy Feather Duster, non-target pop. We know that's a branded fusion in the back row. We're gonna go for lethal damage. Serenir, block the attack here. Attack number 1, as we now activate the Gear Blade, so now every single monster can attack more than once. 3K, 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 8, mate. Is this the end? Yes, it is. Attack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for game. Gear Blade for freaking game. That was crazy. Damn. The brand fusion, but we're going to want to fish for other cards first. Banishing the Albion from our hand, of course, as Lubellion searches for our Magna Hut. Now, let's branded fusion it up. Send from the deck a Mercurier to banish with the Magna Hut. The Rinbrum can negate an extra deck monster and then return a card on the field back to the hand. Rinbrum trigger to search the deck. Magna Hut will be searching for a Serenir in the end phase. Or an Albaz if we have a play to discard it through, let's say, a Lubellion. We're going to now send the Magna Hut for the Lubellion to set up a branded Lost. Now, Cartesia special summonable due to having an Albaz in grave. We're going to be activating to fuse into nothing as the Impermanence negates Cartesia. Unfortunately, the thrust is not thrust in, as that's not a monster effect. We're going to set the red to be used during the next turn. As I said, we search for an Albaz here potentially instead of the Serenir. Now, Heritage of the Chalice searching for Ogier. Ogier on summon's going to send from the deck to the grave of Gearfried. We're going to special summon Renaud to add that Gearfried back to the hand. I don't think so. We're going to negate and banish Finger the Gearfried. Be gone. We're ready with the Brandon Red whenever to add back the Albaz to get our Mirror Jade play going. We have Angelica on summon. We're going to negate the Angelica and return her back to the extra deck you go. Cartesia is now fused, and this is the great thing about Cartesia. If it gets impermanence, we can just use it during the opponent's turn. So we don't even have to use the Brandon Red. Trigger the Lost, search for a Mercurier, as the Albion is going to be setting up inevitably into a Mirror Jade play. Banish from the grave into Lubellion, discard the Thrust, as we now have a non-target monster banish. Nicely done. Museum, searching our deck for the Durendal. Equipped onto a monster, we could search our deck for a Fire Warrior. We could chain Brandon Red, fuse with the Mirror Jade, or Mirror Jade non-target monster banish itself to dodge the search if we want to get cheeky. We're just going to chill. Grab the red layer, special summonable while we control no monster. Living Fossil, Reborn, the Renaud. Further turning this into an Isold. Isold, search for a monster that we cannot summon that turn. We're going to Mirror Jade non-target monster banish before you could even attempt to use the second effect here. Be gone. We still have Mercurier. We still have the Albaz being fused with the Brandon Red. We have Titanic summoning from the deck a Quem, not even bothering with its activation. And just like that, let's do it. 9,500 damage, taking this into game number 3. How big is TTK's D? That's going to be the determining factor on our chance of possibly opening up a hand trap to stop FM production from fully popping off into a field that stops a Super Poly. Super Poly is one of the best ways for Branded to break a field. So in a way, production going first counters Branded. Normal Renaud, search for the Wedju Temple. This is redonkulous, mate. Freaking Grief Tablet. This is a new card. Is it an old card? I don't even it had to have come out with the cards, right? It searches for a Wedju freaking Temple. Am I going to use my toes for this? Whoa, Maxi. Nice of you to join the party at this time when the opponent has no intent to special summon whatsoever besides the Promethean Princess if we even summoned it, which we did not. So thanks a lot. We have Quadra monster negate with the Apollo USA. We have 2 spell and trap card negates with the double Charles. We can non-target pop a card in the field whenever. We can negate a monster effect with a Gearfried. We can Angelic Ring, negate a Super Poly or any spell. We have a Droll and Lockbird, so that gives us a total of 10 disruptions. Very nice. Yep, no Promethean. Let's go. Negate. The Allure. Sure. We'll do it again. Allure Darkness again. Negate. The Allure. Production knows. I know you want to make a Super Poly play. I'm not going to let you force out the Angelic Ring on something that's not a Super Poly. We have the Magus maybe drawing into a hand trap here. Yeah, so we had 11 disruption thanks to Nibiru being drawn. Angelic Ring negating the thrust, and then we drew into Nibiru, so, 8 disruptions left. TTK, unfortunately, could not play through that many of them. All right, well, let's hop into the grand finale. Grand finale, are you ready? Begin. It's all about the Imperm on the second effect of Isold. We're going to start this off with Ascension into the back row, summon itself at the cost of 2,000 life, searching for a Golem. You obviously could not Imperm this effect. I gotta play Infernoble again. And why again? Why now again? Well, if you haven't played this deck with Millennium, I guess with Millennium, the deck is so much more better, it looks like. We have Angelic Ring negate a spell. We have 2 Emperor Charles, or the Charles the Great, that is, with the double special, I keep special. Double spell and trap card negate. And we have the non-target pop of any card in the field. We have a monster negate, and we have the Promethean Princess, pop on special summon, and Droll and Lockbird to disallow further adding from the deck. 7 disruption, and you drew into a Droll. 2 duels in a row. Konami, where the second player draws into the much-needed hand trap off the top of their deck, which could have stopped all of this. So we need the new Master Rule to start off with a 6-card hand or some kind of 1-card mulligan for the turn 2 player. The cleanest would be just start with the 6-card, don't draw for the turn, similar to how the turn 1 player does not get to draw for their turn, right? Who's on board with that? Tract. Negate with the Angelic Ring. We have the Millennium. Now, can the Millennium be negated by the Charles? Let's read this. The effect is when a spell or trap card or the effective one. So we all learned earlier, or you learned if you heard it for the first time from me, that the Wave King Caesar cannot negate the Millennium cards. It goes right to the Wave King Caesar. But that does not work against Charles because he is great. So we can negate. Negate this engine. And it also gets destroyed. So the Diablo Star has to send the Droll to summon. Hey, Gia, what the heck? Why is there a surrender in grand finale? Don't do that again. Reduction, having a Max C plus Ash. We do have an Ash for the Max C, a finger for the Ash. But if we finger the Ash, we finger our own Ash, which is definitely a problem with the sequencing of how we would want to use these cards. What do we have here? We have Promethean Princess, pop on special summon. We have Wave King Caesar, 2 special summon negates. We have Desiree, non-target negate any card in the field. We can call by the grave, finger a card in grave. We have Masquerena, which is a double banish into the Little Knight play. We have double monster negate with the Apollo USA. And then we have a 10th disruption if the Masquerena uses the Desiree after already negated to use its secondary effect of sending a card from the field to the grave. 10. Let's go. Wanted Seeker, come to me. Diablo Star, discard Diablo Star to come forth and summon. Activate to set a spell or trap into the back row. We're going to trigger the Divine Temple. And call by the Grave Finger your Diablo Star, now down to 9 forms of disruption. Uh-oh. You cannot wave King Caesar, negate the summon of the Diablo Star, by the way. Nor use Apollo to negate its summon. Mask Arena, so we lose the Desiree. Extra disruption. Little Knight with the Flame Burst, trigger Flame Burst. We're going to use Little Knight to banish away the Diablo Star. We're now down to 7 disruption. Now, we have not committed to a normal summon yet. And Connector is full wombo combo. Oak, add Engrave back to our hand the Poplar. I put down my, so what are we going to do, right? He's got, FM production, correctly not surrendering. Finish him. To game 3 we go. Both decks with super wombo combo turn 1s. It's like you have to resolve a full loss or max C and it has to not get negated. Is Droll good enough to shut them down possibly? Maybe if we have Droll, that could also be a part of either having the full loss or max C to win. You're gonna rip Droll out of my hand. So we have to imperm this, right? Like, we don't have a choice. We have to. Or you're gonna let them rip Droll and then you're gonna use imperm onto the Isold? We're in a situation. We imperm. Okay. I gotta protect my Droll. I don't know about you. No, thank you. Negate the Connector. Summon the Diablo Star. Can production make as much plays as possible without triggering the Droll? We're going to equip the Gearblade, send Gearblade for the original Sinful, send for the deck the Renaud, Isold on summon searches. That's the Droll. That's it. Droll them. No more adding, only from the deck to your hand. From the graveyard is still okay. Ogier, send from the deck a Turpin here. We have Promethean Princess. Activate, Reborn. The Ricardetto is going to target the Turpin, reborn it, as we now turn this into an Angelica. Angelica can't search for a museum. We're going to target Angelica with the Turpin to now summon a Roland. I think he's still putting up a pretty good field. What is going on? As we now go into the Emperor Charles with Roland and Grave. Roland equip onto the Emperor Charles. We have the Turpin special summoning because we have an equip card. We're going to now go into Charles the Great. Equip the Emperor Charles. We don't have the museum to summon it from the back row. We're going to Oliver equip, and we're going to equip during the end phase, trigger the effect to pop the Promethean Princess. What are our forms of disruption? Even after, what the heck, Konami again? We keep drawing our much-needed hand trap. Well, Ash, negate an interaction on the deck. Promethean, pop a monster on special summon. Negate a spell or trap with the Charles. We could then negate a spell with the Angelic Ring. We could also pop a card on the field by using the Roland to equip onto any monster. About 5 forms of disruption through a freaking Droll. What are our plays? We have a normal summon Poplar. So we have 2 plays that we have through 5 disruptions. Crimson Tear instead of the Poplar here. Sent from the deck the Engraver as we now make a Requiem. Requiem is going to jump off the field to summon for the deck an Engraver. Let's use the Requiem to equip onto the Engraver. We're now going to get... You triggered my Charles. If an equip card becomes equipped onto any monster on the field, which you normally do with your own Roland, well, you did it for me. I now get to get poppin'. Engraver, return back Engraver to Reborn. I'm back. Battle. Big enough to take out Turpin, which was doing nothing. Set Wanted Seeker, pass. End phase, equip the Durendal. Oh my goodness, Durendal is going to be searching for a Fire Flint Lady. If you control a warrior monster, we get special summon. Roland's going to equip to non-target pop a card on the field. Take out the Wanted Seeker here. Send the back or to summon a Doom Dragon. Doom Dragon is so damn cool. Now, FM production has no negate for the Nibiru. Will he, for no good reason whatsoever, play into a Nibiru? Maybe out of being nervous, you never know. We have 7,700 damage here, 91. We're on 2 summons so far. I mean, this is enough. We don't have to keep on going. He keeps on going. Does he not know that he's playing into a Nibiru potentially? Baron to floor. There we go. Negate the Nibiru. Now, no matter how many more summons we do, we are fine. We're going to be searching for the Lucas. Just walk away, mate. I know you want to surrender. Just go play some Fortnite while you're waiting. We're going to put 2 cards into the back row here. Reborn from the back row. Over 12,000 damage on the field. Wait, we have another card engraved. If he negates Requiem with the Baron de Floor, we could Nibiru, but he has Ash. So there's no way he screws this up. No way he screws this up. Ash negate. There you go, mate. We kept the Baron de Floor to negate the Nibiru. Nibiru! Yep, you got me. Congratulations. Damn. That almost went bad. Imagine if we didn't have Ash. Without Ash, Baron de Floor maybe would have negated into a big fat Nibiru. Lethal damage, FM production, winning it all with Infernoble Millennium. Damn. Very well done. FM production played through a lot of hand traps today. It wasn't a case where he just got lucky, make iSold and win. And he was also making Apollo USAs instead of going into the Angelica, then finding another way to go into the Angelica with the protection of Apollo against a Nibiru. Nicely done. Branded. What are you doing, Branded? Dominating the event today. Look at the Aluber alt art in the pie chart. That is crazy. So, very well done. I would say I am disappointed with Crystron not having more tops in the top 16. I thought it would. Maybe, you know, it's been a few days after the pack release, right? Okay, let's see the Memento deck. March, 41 cards, main deck in Sinful Spoil of the White Forest, and also playing Diabels. Also with the Baphomet, Mad Lad play with it. Using Little Knight to banish Diabels to then summon with the Baphomet. I like that. I want to be trying that out. That was pretty cool. Good job, March. Sprites. Ovidiug, 55 card madness. We have the Millennium Fiendsmith engine plus Bestials. It's essentially Snake Eye Fiendsmith, but we swapped out the snakes with the sprites. Okay, there's the extra deck and the main. What else we have here? Valmonica. Surprise, it is me, Fiendsmith, in Valmonica, with the Dimino being a light fiend. So that was pretty cool to, you know, get that on the field, then pop off from there. The problem is it being a pendulum, it doesn't go to the graveyard in most cases, so it can't be used as light fiend fuel. Otherwise, being a light fiend is still great. Good job, Huncho, mate. I'll probably be testing this out. And then we have Tenpai Dragon, Nicky Boy making a return with Tenpai. I'm not sure why his name is not linkable here, but I want to double check here to see on Nicky Boy's D, he got top 10 with his Tenpai deck looking like this, which it says this Tenpai deck is no longer legal. So what happened to Tenpai from then till now? Why is this not legal? The, Kaiman went to 1. Yup, oops. So I guess that's the one thing that changed here. So from getting top 3 global with the Tenpai deck to, unfortunately the Tenpai deck's not tied to your profile. We're gonna have to change that. Let's go back. Tenpai here, Nicky Boy. So if y'all remembered what his deck list looked like, this is the new version on how to play Tenpai. Very nice. And let's see what else we have here. Blue Eyes, Bori. Double Blue Eyes. I remember he double bricked today, drawing both of them. That was quite unfortunate. Even with the semi-limited Maiden and Sage, we still have 42 cards. We have the Kaiser Seahorse and the Perry Reese map for the 3rd Sage and 3rd Maiden. And then we have Crystron, LBF Max C. This is another point going towards Millennium. Not Horus, not Speedroid. Well done. I've been playing this deck myself, very similar to how this is built, and I've really been liking the Millennium cards. It's been great. I think I was even playing against a Floodgate player, and the Millennium cards was the only reason I was able to win a Floodgate matchup. Good job. And Infernoble, we'll look at you last. Beansmith Control. Akimo, 40 cards. We're main decking 2 Ogre here, 2 Nibiru. Anything out of the ordinary beyond that. All right. And then we have EMGH, 40 cards. Anything out of the ordinary here. Got the Gamma side frame driver. We got the Ogre in the main deck, Nibiru. Very nice. It's quite interesting to see the top deck predominantly using Nibiru, so people really do have to think about Nibiru, which is what TCG players have already always been doing. It's a Master Duel luxury to not care about Nibiru. Snake Eye Fiendsmith. Lucas, Rios, is there anything out of the ordinary? Anything crazy? I don't see it. Yeah, everything is normal here from what I could see. And then Shadow. Anything crazy? Looking quite normal. Okay, good job. Zeus is this is Snake Eye Fiendsmith, right? Yes, Snake Eye Fiendsmith, Zeus, anything, because I remember Zeus normally playing Fiendsmith Control, and now he's switching teams. What's up with that, Zeus? Tell me how you're feeling about Fiendsmith Control versus Snake Eye Fiendsmith. I'd like to know. So let's see, Zeus specifically. Yeah, well, what is this? You top 4, top 4, top 8, top 4, top. I mean, he mastered Fiendsmith Control and he wanted to try out Snake Eye Fiendsmith. Sure. Now, let's see the Fiendsmith Control players now. We already did that. Now it's Brandon. Titacon, 60 cards. Things I'd want to be looking out for here. Out of the ordinary is the Brightest Blazing, and who's playing Allure and who is not. Usually Allure is going to be tied with the Fusion Deployment. You play either or. Good job, Titacon. Main deck in the Harpy Feather, Heavy Storm, and Triple Thrust. Thrust is also good against Ash, as you can set your duplication from the deck. You got the Anaconda, the extra deck. And Titacon, I would love to know your thoughts on why this is in your extra deck. What's going on here? Dogmatica Calamity Alba System. You could send all cards in both players' extra decks to the graveyard. Yeah, sure. Pesh, 45 card branded, no Anaconda. We're playing the Fusion Deployment instead of the Allure of Darkness. I think I'm going to be changing the engine system to showcase who's playing Deployment and who's playing Allure. Yes, so I will be changing that. Good job, Pesh. We have Yusuf with the 40 card. We have Allure instead of the Fusion Deployment. Triple Droplet, double called by Triple Super Poly, 2 Retribution. Only 1 opening. We have 2 Max C, all squeezed in a compact 40 card deck, double Mercurier even with the double Retribution. It's interesting, definitely interesting, because with this deck, for example, if you wanted to put in Ash Blossom, you'd probably take out the second Mercurier, the second Retribution, maybe the Branded Sword for 3 Ash Blossom, if that's possibly another choice here. And then that would actually be exactly my deck list, I think, yeah. And it does have Anaconda. Peria, 60 card, is playing Allure and Deployment. I think this is the first time I've seen both being played together in a reputable deck list here. We have the Lulu Walla Lilith instead of an Anaconda. We also don't play Star Source. That's a choice that we made. I don't know. I would like to know your thoughts, sir, on why you're not playing Star Source. I feel like Star Source is amazing. And I would think that Star Source is comparable to the Light and Darkness Dragon, right? You play Light and Darkness or Star Source because you could pretty much go into either or with the Banishment, but playing neither. Good job, Pariah. And some people are also not playing the Dragostapelia, which you are. And now the #1 Mad Lad. Infernoble FM Productions. When did FM switch on over to Millennium? So I have his history open. We're just going to go to his profile for this. For a while now. Back in February is the last time he played Infernoble without the Millennium Engine. And then he got Master 1. He's got Notes, Master 1, Topped. He's got Replays, Master 1, Replays and Notes. And then first freaking place, you can see the deck list, right, and all the ratios here. Ooh, this is a doozy. Very well done. I think a big surprise to me is the fact that the Millennium Shield is a freaking warrior. And because of that, it can go into Isold with the Millennium engine, as the other two bodies go into a Little Knight. Very well done on that. Good job to you. This definitely makes me want to play the deck. You winning it all. Great. Good job. This is going to be opening me up for some good times. We have to, for the in-game analytics, the top cards page, or Konami at the highest rank, we have to be winning with Charles. Someone has been slandering the deck. Someone's been playing the deck, summoning Charles, then purposely surrendering to bring down the numbers. So if we could all come together and counteract that, that'd be great. And there you go. That is the event. Let's see what the tier list is looking like. Snake Eye Fiendsmith is barely at tier 1 again. Branded jumping up here. Again, I think the format is mostly, it's these two top decks. And then if you're a really good player, it's like, is Branded on the tier list, or is a small group of players that are good with Branded on the tier list? You know, it isn't a really good spot though. Probably in the best spot in a long time. Crystron's right behind my head. Yup, this looks good. So thank you very much. Next Meta Weekly next week on Sunday. Let's go.